In Chapter 11 of the report, for example, we detail a number of specific incidents in which Israeli forces launched direct attacks against civilians with lethal consequences. These were, with only one exception, where the facts established that there was no military objective or advantage that could justify the attacks. The mission investigated in some detail the effects on the civilian population of southern Israel of the sustained rocket and mortar attack from Palestinian armed groups in Gaza. We detail the suffering of victims and the highly prejudicial effects of those acts on the towns and cities that fall within the range of the rockets and mortars. If infrastructure were to be understood in that way and become a justifiable military objective, it would completely subvert the whole purpose of international humanitarian law built up over the last 100 years and more. It would make civilians and civilian buildings justifiable targets. These attacks amounted to reprisals and collective punishment and constitute war crimes. In both cases, if within the 6-month period there are no good faith investigations conforming to international standards, the Security Council should refer the situation or situations to the International Criminal Court Prosecutor.
Mr. President, the authors of this fact-finding report had little concern with finding facts. The report was instigated as part of a political campaign, and it represents a political assault directed against Israel and against every state forced to confront terrorist threats.
ألا نجعل من هذا التقرير وثيقة للتوثيق وللتاريخ، لأن التاريخ لن يرحم. وأقول لكم أكثر من ذلك، أن شعبي لن يسامح المجتمع الدولي بأن يبقي القتلة والمجرمين دون محاكمة ودون عقاب. شكرا سيد الرئيس.
Although we disagree sharply with many of the report's assessments and its recommendations and believe that it is deeply flawed, we recognize Justice Goldstone's distinguished record of public service and his efforts to promote global justice.
Newspaper, Die Tageszeitung.
Our own view as the clearest and best path. And secondly,
I think it's a little bit irrelevant at this stage to judge the report by what I would suggest are very flimsy allegations of bias against any members of the commission, of the mission.
Options. Where would you like to see it, in your own view, as the clearest and best?
I would like to see transparent, open investigations into the allegations made in the report, into the findings made in the report, both in Israel and in Gaza.
To clarify this situation would have a negative.
I don't have a crystal ball, and what the chances of investigations are really is difficult to say. I'm not all that optimistic, having regard to the response so far from the government of Israel. There hasn't been any clear response, as far as I'm aware, from the authorities in Gaza. But it depends a lot, I think, on the approach of the international community. It's all a matter of politics at this stage.
Note that there was Hamas in the vicinity of your interview.